How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Descender, Volume 1, 10 stars. That's T-I-N, like the middle. I'm not giving my ranking out this early. But anyway, this is written by Jeff Lemire, who you guys may remember for things like Gideon Falls and Sweet Tooth. He's done a lot of really great comics, and this is a fan favorite. This has artwork, very beautiful watercolors by Dustin Nguyen. Really does a lot for this series. And this collects the first 6 issues and was put out by Image Comics. Overall, this is a Jeff Lemire classic for a reason. Really great story. This is set in a sci-fi universe. There's a legion of planets, the UGC, and everything seems to be going okay until the Harvesters attack. Harvesters, giant planet-sized robots, and they appear by all the major worlds and kill a ton of people. Well, after the Harvesters attacks, in addition to the millions of lives lost, a bunch of things happen. Robots? Well, robots just killed a bunch of people, so a lot of people hate robots now, and they start killing all the robots they see. The world is not a safe place for robots anymore. Second, the peace that the UGC had beforehand? Well, after a big attack, people are starting to argue more, and the fragile peace is shattered, and they might be on the verge of galactic warfare. Lots of stuff happens. The galaxy is devastated. Well, 10 years have passed, and on a remote mining colony, a robot wakes up. His name is Tim-21, and he's a little kid because he's designed to be a companion robot. Basically, there's a few children on this moon base. He's assigned to one of them to A, protect him, and B, keep him company while they're out in space. And in turn, you know, he's this little kid. There's a horrific mining accident. It looks like everybody died, and he's all alone when he wakes up. So he puts out a distress call, and the government hears this, and they respond really, really quickly. Because you see, they scan the Harvesters and have been looking at their code. A machine's code is essentially like its DNA, and for some strange reason, the DNA in the Harvesters has a section that mirrors the DNA in the Tim series robots. But by the time they found this out, most of the Tims had died, and a living Tim? That's really rare. Maybe they can figure out what the Harvesters were up to. Well, unluckily for them, there's going to be scrappers who hear the signal as well, people who hate robots and want to destroy them, so it's going to be a really tight situation. And yeah, this comic plays off 2 things that Jeff Lemire does really well. Great characters and tight tension. You really do get to know the crew of the ship, Dr. Kwan, the outcast father of modern robotics, and you get to know all the robots. You know, Tim-21, Driller, this little dog bot that they have. You really get to know and love all the characters, which means when they're put in tight situations, it gets really tense, you know? They make it where they're barely getting by, edge of their seat a lot, and there's lots of really, really intense moments in this. So I really do like just how much it pulls you in, rooting for the characters as they just barely make it out each time. But also, that code, the idea that, for whatever reason, the Tim series is somehow related to the big Harvesters? What's going on here? Well, there is a bit of a mystery there, and a sort of larger idea of robotics. And I do like, especially in the 6th issue, when we finally get to dig down and see what exactly is up, why in the world would the Tims be related to the Harvesters? it opens up a very interesting world, and the robotic element and the fact that robotics may be something larger, that's really, really great as well. Overall, Descender is one of Jeff Lemire's best books. I think it got 6 volumes, and then the series turned into Ascender. So if you guys have heard of Ascender, that's its sequel series. But anyway, without further ado, I want to switch over to the close-up camera, dive in a little bit more to this release, look at the artwork, look at a few key moments in the story. So if you want to see more about this book, I'm going to switch over to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are in the castle taking a closer look at Descender Volume 1. I really do like this. This is a really iconic cover. We get Tim 21 there, and we're allowed to look inside of his head and see all his robot parts. And behind him, this moon against an otherwise black backdrop. Really cool, well, black and some stars and stuff, but a really cool cover. However, that being said, this image they use on the back cover, which was from one of the solo issues, is also a really, really cool image. A really great character splash, and we get to see all of our main characters on here, and I really do love this image as well. And why I love the front cover, if they had had this on the front cover, I wouldn't have minded. This is a really fun character splash. But we get the Image Comics logo on the bottom, and we get the price, $9.99. Even though this has a full 6 issues in it, Image Comics would do this thing from time to time where they would make Volume 1s cheaper in order to make it easier for you to access new series and see if you like them, which I thought was just really a cool thing of Image to do. And, you know, some good quotes in the plot summary on the bottom. If we open it up, title page, and here's the credits. Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen, lettered by Steve Wands, and all the extended credits down there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the book a little bit. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to show you guys a few pieces of the plot, and just not the end bits, and also show you guys some of this really cool watercolor artwork. So I'll talk a little bit about the plot. I'll try not to go too far. I won't cover the end, but let's dive in and talk about the book in a little bit more specifics. We open up, the galaxy is at peace, and man, right from the first page, you can really see that watercolor being really good. We also get to learn a little bit about the planets, the planet Nirata, and it talks about the technological and cultural hub of the group of core planets. And I really do like there's a ton of world building in here, but it never feels like a homework assignment. You know, you can tell this is a big, complex world, but you don't have to memorize a million things about it, you know, and it really just comes off as natural. But anyway, all of a sudden, some people start to look up in the sky. What's going on? What's up there? Well, this is our first sighting of a harvester. Look at all these ships, and then the atmosphere, and then giant robot. Well, the government gets Dr. Kwan, the father of modern robotics, who starts to scan and analyze it, but before he can do much, the robot holds out his hand, and we get this giant blast of red light. He's using a laser on the planets, and then you get the Descender cover, you know, big double-page spread, really, really cool. Well, then we jump to 10 years later. The moon, man, all the Descender names are hard to pronounce. Durishu 6, and you get this essentially abandoned mining colony, and then this one little kid wakes up, but everyone is missing, and as he explores, he finds that, yeah, he's probably the only one still alive in here, and that there was some sort of accident and most people died. Well, his little dog robot Bandit shows up, and it spooks him for a second, and we get to see that this boy Tim is actually a robot. And I do like the reveal that you don't get to see it for a minute. You know, it's still told pretty early, but he wanders around for a bit, and it's not till he's spooked and he, you know, takes out his robot hands that you realize, oh, okay, that's why this kid was able to survive when everyone else died. Well, he explores for a good bit. I really like that panel of him and the robot looking outside, the dog bot. But anyway, he accesses the computer and finds a ton of history. Turns out he's been out for a long time, and he's missed a lot. There's the little no robot symbol that pops up a lot. Well, once he accesses the system, I think he tries to get a call out for the government, but accessing the system is going to be enough to alert people to his presence, and we jump back and we see the planet from the beginning is looking a little grungier than we saw it earlier. And the father of modern robotics, Dr. Kwan, gets a visit from the government. This is Captain Telsa, and I really do like there's kind of a joke here where it's Telsa, not Tesla, but every now and then people mispronounce it and sometimes she corrects them. But they're getting this guy because he knows all about robotics, and there's a new Tim 21. And they explain to him that the code, essentially the DNA of the harvesters, shared a strange similarity to the Tim series, and they have to go and get a living Tim to see if they can figure out the connection. And when the one on the planet just woke up, well, that's a chance to pick one up and see if they can figure out the harvester mystery. And Tim runs out because a ship lands, and you hope it's going to be the UGC people, but of course it's not. There's a really cool page spread, and you get to see it's scrappers, these people that hunt robots. And boy, I do love the villain designs in this book. There's their dog, and then, you know, you get like this lady with a mask, this guy with a red mask, and the really big one, you know. A lot of the villains have really cool costumes in this book. But like I say, things get really, really desperate, and, you know, there's, he's running, and his life is flashing before his eyes. There's a little flashback to when he meets his people, you know, the mom and Andy, who he's supposed to be protecting, and he's constantly, throughout the beginning of the book, he's trying to see if either one of those two is alive. There was an explosion, but he has records that a few people made it off in a ship, and could Andy have been one of them, and what happened to those ships, you know? So he has to desperately try to save his family. You also get this other robot here, Driller, and Driller is a mining robot who was really abused by the humans, probably even before the Harvester event, if I had to guess, and he hates humans, and he says Driller's a real killer, you know, so they didn't make him that smart because he, you know, is just supposed to do physical work, and they just never gave him that stuff. But he's really mad at the situation he's been put in, and he's trying to fight against it. So yeah, you get to see that, you know, a lot of humans here hate robots, and Driller's prepared to fight them off. But yeah, things get desperate for Tim, and he's gravely wounded in part of the story. But one of the things that really throws a change into the story is that when Tim's gravely wounded, he has a dream going to this strange other place and meeting a robot who says that he's dead, and he's, you know, here to talk to the Tim series. And, you know, he thinks, okay, this must be a dream, right? But, you know, the fact that robots aren't supposed to dream, what is this strange, almost afterlife place he gets a glimpse of? Well, robotics in this book are mysterious, and there is going to be a strange secret to robotics that makes all this possible. Really, really cool, and I don't want to get too far into it, but man, when you get to issue 6 and we get just a little peek at why robots are different in this book, It's really great, but yeah, the Scrappers are coming after Tim, they're gonna barely make it, and planetary alliances are crumbling. That's also a cool thing. We feel like we're on the cusp of like a galactic civil war or something, yet it doesn't feel at all like Attack of the Clones, you know? This is a really good built and original sci-fi world, and I had a ton of fun with Volume 1. I'm gonna try to get to Volume 2 relatively soon. I really want to read through this whole series and then move on to Ascender, you know, so great read. Definitely would recommend it for sci-fi fans. And yeah, definitely go and pick this comic up. It's pretty fun. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Jeff Lemire playlist. I covered his new book, The Passageway, recently, and also the first volume of Gideon Falls. So if you want to see me talk about more Lemire stuff, you can find it down there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.